When the final bell sounds, I realize that there is still a lot of time left in the day. I'm left wondering what to do. It's odd. At the hospital, I had 24 hours a day of free time. Here, filling the considerably shorter hours feels difficult. Everyone else leaves, and I'm left alone with the teacher. Muto is examining the assignment sheets we were working on earlier, marking them with a red ball pen. Raising his eyes from his papers briefly, he notices me and furrows his brow.
What is it, Nakai?
I jump at him addressing me, but I guess it's natural to spark some conversation since there's nobody else around. Nothing. Just thinking about what I'd do after school. Teacher slowly puts a cap on the pen he's holding and arranges his papers into a stack, clacking it against the desk twice. He seems very methodical, and for a brief moment I'm reminded of Shizne, but the teacher is more unhurried and relaxed, much more routined.
You have no plans?
No, I considered joining a club, but don't know what kind of club would interest me.
Go observe a meeting of someone else's club. Might pique your interest.
I guess. I don't know how to continue from there. Muto looks at me in a way that makes me quickly want to take the words back to avoid a conversation. But I can't, so I have to forge ahead. I just don't know how to deal with people. I mean the other students. I'm talking to people and everything, but it's not that I'd be isolated or anything. I just don't know what to think about the disabilities. It's like, it feels that I'm being impolite if I pay attention to them, and it's weird to ignore them. And if I do, and if I don't. Teacher scratches his cheek absentmindedly, looking very unresponsive.
These things are only an issue if you make them one. You can talk normally with someone even if they are blind or something. Try to look behind the superficial. There's not a single student here who isn't just a normal kid behind whatever they might seem at first glance.
He says the same things Yuko did. I know they're right. That's hard. How can you not consider, for example, Shizne's deafness, when the only way to communicate with her is to talk through Misha? Or Hanako. It's not like you can ignore her face. Oh, Jesus, I'm interrupted by the door of the classroom suddenly slamming open. Teacher! Misha crashes in, hands straight in an enthusiastic greeting, her voice loud and lively enough to wake the dead from their graves. She starts working toward the teacher's desk with her bouncing step, hands energetically swinging with the rhythm. Muto, visibly dismayed at the interruption, and Misha in general, slumps in his chair.
Mikado.
Misha stops in her tracks and looks around cluelessly as if she's sensing from his tone that something's wrong, but has no idea what. Yes?
We have talked about volume control before.
Yes? But she doesn't lower her voice at all, and the teacher just rubs his eyes.
So, what is it?
We need help. We're running out of supplies for the festival stands. This is a distress. Saying it wrong on purpose. I did that on purpose. She waves a pink slip of paper she's holding around.
So, go get more supplies from the yard room. What's the problem with that?
Plywood! Plywood is always the problem. Last time we wanted more, there was only a little. But that time we just took it all and went with that. Now there's like none left there. So you don't know where there's some?
I don't understand. How would I know?
The president thought that a teacher would know if there's plywood. Was she wrong? Muto looks like he is in great pain, frowning with his entire essence, and Misha doesn't get it at all. It is very weird looking at a character whose has a slightly more realistic style in Muto, and then total anime style in fucking Misha right next to it. The eyes are different, the noses are different, the fucking hair is it looks like two characters from completely different fucking games. It's very weird. Looking at the two of them communicate is terrible. Like looking at a man being tortured by drilling his skull open while blasting pop music at full volume at the same time. Why? Why with that? Such an intense description.
I'm afraid I have no idea if there's any plywood in the school, let alone where it would be if there was any.
Aw, what should I do?
Perhaps try to find Mr. Nomiya? I'm quite sure he would know where to find everything you need. You'd have to pry them from his cold, dead hands, but that's a different matter.
I don't have time. We're so busy.
She holds her head with both her hands, looking as despairing as it's possible for a person like her. Without even noticing, she crumples the note she's holding against her hair.
I shouldn't be even be fetching these things. There's so much to do and we're falling behind the schedule.
Muto looks at her gravely and then suddenly smiles. Smiling doesn't really fit his face. I think it's better if he didn't.
I wonder if you could get some temporary help.
He switches to staring at me focusedly with a hard expression as if trying to say, "Go make some friends." I guess I can give you a hand.
You can? Well, thanks, Hee-chan. You are really nice.
She pauses, does a double take, and then points at me with her finger, yelping,
Ah!
and looking very puzzled.
Come to think of it, what's Hee-chan doing here? Class is over. You should be having fun.
We just had a little chat.
Oh, no. It's not detention, is it? Are you in trouble, Hee-chan?
No, I'm not.
Is Hee-chan in trouble, teacher?
No, he's not.
Muto sighs deeply, and I feel I have to help Misha to get her off the teacher's back. So, what do you need?
Here's a list. I can try to find the plywood from somewhere if there's none in the art room.
She offers me the note she's holding. I take it, hesitating a bit. I said I'd help you, but this has no implications of whether I'm joining the council or not.
Aww. Still, thanks, Hee-chan. Try to be quick. We're in the stall building streak now. We must hurry.
She bounces out of the classroom, leaving me and the teacher looking at each other with something that feels like a silent agreement.
Well, there you have it, Nakai. You have something to do now.
Please don't sound so smug. Looking at a list with a number of items ranging from paint to plywood, all written with small, neat handwriting, is undoubtedly Shizune's, I heave a sigh. I'll be going, then. Waving the long list limply at the teacher, I exit to the hallway. The classrooms closest to ours are designated belonging to classes 3-1 and 3-2 on the right side, and 3-4 on the left side, each door looking exactly the same. Further down the corridor, still with identical doors, are rooms that I didn't think were used for classes. I guess the art room is not a classroom as such. I carefully push open the furthest door and peek in. Ooh, this is a nice looking room. It's a classroom, but it seems rather badly kept or not in use. Am I in the right place? Desks and chairs are all around the room, a thin layer of dust settled on them. There's some easels in the corner, so at least it looks like the right place. The room is flushed in sunlight from the big windows, shadows creeping all over the desks. Specks of dust are dancing in the stagnant air, making the beams of light almost visible. Jokingly, I call into the empty room. Anybody? Hop! Something catches my eye and I stop mid-sentence. Oh. Hello. So, what the Oh. Okay. This was a jumbled confusion. I was like, oh, who's this? Is that a foot? Oh my god, they're eating with their feet? Oh, they have no arms. Oh, okay. Sitting on a desk is a short-haired girl curiously wearing a boy's uniform with a fork between her toes, a morsel of food stuck firmly on the end. This odd way of dining seems to be caused by her apparent lack of hands, but her presence here is what takes me aback even more. How did I miss her before? She's sitting in a corner very still, but I somehow took her as part of the furnishing or a statue at first glance. I'm not being too observant today as a whole. The girl seems to be frozen in place, staring at me with her huge eyes like a rabbit in headlights. She's staring at me, her mouth wide open, ready to accept the fork. I'm staring at her, my mouth wide open, suddenly remembering I didn't finish my sentence, and trying to think if I should. This weird stalemate keeps us both stunned into silence, punctuated only by the wall clock ticking rhythmically. Hello? The girl stuffs the forkful in her mouth and is now staring at me expectantly while chewing. It's a bit awkward. Hello? I was told to pick up some supplies from here for the festival stalls, I think. I didn't think there would be anyone here.
There isn't. That's why I came here too.
She picks up another forkful. Doesn't that mean you're here then? She raises her eyebrows as if she was suspecting my observation was false.
You're pretty observant. I guess it does. But who are you?
The girl is pretty straightforward, isn't she? I'm Nakai. Hisao Nakai. I just transferred in on Monday.
I'm Rin. Tezuka Rin.
Rin Tezuka. Rin, eh? Where have I heard that before?
I won't shake hands with you, but at least we know who we are now. That's very nice.
Her deadpan manner of talking makes it hard to determine whether she's joking about shaking hands or not. It kind of bothers me. Joking about these matters doesn't feel appropriate at all. Well, I'm trying to figure out what's appropriate and whether this girl is... What? She seems to have lost interest in me and is now gazing yearningly back at her foot. Can I continue my lunch? If you don't mind me, I won't mind you. If you need to get your stuff, the supplies are in the back. Go right ahead, but lunch? School's already over for the day. What word would you use then? There's no word for a meal you eat after lunch, but before dinner, right? It bothers me very much too, but I don't really know what I should say. Linner, or dunch. I don't think you're supposed to eat a meal between lunch and dinner to begin with. But I'm hungry now, and my delicious boxed lunch would go to waste otherwise. I have curry. It's very delicious. With much decisiveness, Rin once again picks up the fork between her toes, and with at least as much impoliteness, she points it straight at me. So, Nakai, what brings you to this place? Like I said, I was told to look for these things. No, the school. From outside, you look fine. Is your problem inside? I come to a full stop, opening my mouth and not getting a word out. I can guess. I'm good at guessing, better than most people. Rin cuts me off before I can answer her question, or skirt around it somehow. I don't know which I would have done. I froze in front of this issue again. I haven't even told anyone here about my condition. Or maybe it's because it hasn't really come up. I do get the feeling that not making issues of this is part of the social code here. I wonder if the people here could relate. Probably not any better than any normal person would. I can't relate to Shizune's circumstances or Lily's either. Naturally, while I go through this in my head, Rin keeps considering what my condition could be, with an overtly contemplative look on her face. She puts her fork between her lips and leans back, looking at the ceiling as if the answer was written up there. A beam of light illuminates her face from the window side, creating a mask of dark shadow on the other side.
I don't think it's anything in your head, and something in your guts would be boringly ordinary, like this lunch of mine, and less delicious. The problem must be in your pants.
This messed up Sherlock Holmes kind of statement and the sheer lack of tact it was delivered with catches me completely off guard. I think I might have reeled back even physically as Rin's eyes widened in revelation and astonishment.
So I was right! There's something wrong with your tackle, isn't there?
Still partially in shock and recognizing the need to reply something, I spit out the first thing I can think of. No! Nothing like that. I have a heart problem. Arrhythmia. And I said it. More like blurted it out, but I said it. The girl in front of me purses her lips together and glowers at me, looking very disappointed.
How boring. Trouble in the pants would have been much more scandalous.
What's with this reaction? I'm sorry to let you down.
I forgive you. I collect people, and a person with, that kind of problem would have been really great.
Collect people?
People with different problems.
Huh. So you just, go around asking people what's wrong with them?
Pretty much.
I see. With little left to say, Rin resumes her lunge and the conversation dies away. But I keep thinking about what was said. It's the first time I told anyone else about my condition. All the other people have either known about it already or heard about it from someone else. Or didn't need to know about it, like every other student here so far. Should I have told it as a natural part of introductions? Is it expected of me? Hi, I'm Hisao. I have a very serious heart condition. Is that how I'm supposed to go around introducing myself from now on? As if our disabilities would define us? What a disgusting thought. Or maybe this Tetsuka girl is just an unnatural interest in such things. As I walk to the back of the room to pick up the items on Misha's list, a chance opens to study Rin from the corner of my eye. Her hair is a burnt auburn, almost orange. That is not almost orange. And cropped short. Long hair would probably be impossible with no arms. The boy's uniform and the lack of arms makes her body look very thin, almost scrawny. She's not particularly pretty, except for her murky green eyes, which flicker restlessly from below her short bangs even when she eats. The distance and the shadows make it seem like they don't reflect sunlight at all, but instead absorb all of it within them like deep wells. She moves her feet almost as deftly as a normal person would use their arms. However, I can see how this sight could discomfort people, especially while eating. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable, at least. I hesitate to think about the word unnatural, but it's too late now, isn't it? I keep searching the cabins and shelves for Misha's things, but after enough time passes, the silence grows too uncomfortable, so I force some conversation out of this strange girl. So, do you always eat alone and this late, or do you get the occasional visitor?
Visitors. Maybe you're my first occasional visitor, but I don't always eat alone either. Sometimes I eat with a certain person on the roof, if she's not horsing around.
Horsing?
She likes to do sports.
Oh, it's that, probably that pink-haired girl that almost fucking killed us earlier. Oh. And that's all I can think of to say. Of course it would be the armless girl and the legless girl that are friends. Of course it is. But more importantly, it's this deadpan, take no shit kind of person, and the very socially attuned but whoa kind of person that would mesh. Seems a fit. Both of us fall silent again as Rin forks the last bits of her meal into her mouth. I look down in my haul and double check it with Misha's list. Seems I have everything except plywood. I think I have all the things now.
That's very nice for you. Don't feel obliged to stay. I was about to take a nap anyway. Need to do whatever you're going to do with that stuff anyway, right? Or perhaps you like to watch girls sleeping.
Not sure what to make of this, but Rin looks serious. Even if I did, I think I have to be going. I'll catch you around, Tezuka.
You can call me Rin. I feel that our relationship is at this point good enough to warrant this much.
I was already turning to make my exit, but she draws me back in. Fine, then I'm Hisao.
Then you are.
Rin looks at me hard in the eyes, but that intimidating feeling you get when someone stares at you isn't there. It's like she's actually not looking at me at all. She blinks a couple of times, and I can't figure out why a pause like this just popped between us out of nowhere.
See you later, Hisao.
There's something like a tiny smile there on her face, maybe. I quietly back out of the room. As I shut the door in front of my face, I whisper to myself, what an intriguing person. From inside, I hear a muffled sing-song voice.
I heard that!
Holy crap!
What did she hear?
Jesus, you fucking... I jump at the sudden appearance of Misha, who I had not heard approaching despite the completely empty hallway. Somehow she had gotten to jumping distance of me without making a sound. Creepy. It briefly reminds me of Kenji's nutty theory about a global feminist conspiracy, but I push that aside. That thought aside. Oh, there's Shizune. Shizune, standing slightly behind Misha, looks aloof, as she couldn't have heard the remark that drew Misha's attention, but Misha is visibly excited.
No, wait, more importantly, who is in there? There's no club meetings today.
She tries to curiously peek past me, even though the door prevents her from seeing anyway. What are you doing here?
You took so long that we had to come check what's wrong. That's no good, Hee-chan.
She wags a finger at me, scoldingly.
I found plywood, but everything else is missing because you are tardy.
Oh, sorry. I got the things here. Was just gonna bring them.
I think you were up to some mischief, Hee-chan. Who was in there with you, I wonder?
Misha signed something quickly to Shizune, pointing at her own ear a couple of times. Shizune immediately pushes her way past me and opens the door into the classroom I just left. I can only imagine the shock she's experiencing. With Shizune's diligence and attitude, the insolence of daring to deface school property by sleeping on top of it must be too much to bear. And indeed, she stares at Rin, frozen in place apart from the slight but noticeable trembling of her shoulders. From suppressed rage, I'm sure. Instead of blowing up, Shizune just takes a few deep breaths, adjusts her glasses, and slams the door shut, turning to sign furiously at Misha. Jesus, maybe she did blow up and I just can't understand it. She shoots a very loaded stare at me too, as if somehow it's my fault that Rin is sleeping on one of the tables. Hope she's not getting any funny ideas about the reason of my tardiness. Hello? Rin's voice comes from the other side of the door, and it takes a few eye blinks to realize she might have trouble opening it. I open the door to find Rin directly behind it, looking at us with a half-interested, half-sleepy face. Hello. Dots.
Miss Tezuka, what do you think you're doing? You are absolutely not permitted to use school property for such disgraceful activity.
It sure is suddenly very crowded in here. Didn't know I was this popular. It's hard to say whether she's happy or unhappy about this turn of events. At any rate, she ignores Shizune and Misha's scolding, so they have no choice but to drop the issue. Shizune taps Misha's shoulder, points at Rin, and makes some quick signs.
Popularity aside, please don't do that anymore. Anyway, how's your project going? Will it be done for the festival?
Rin looks at them blankly, apparently at ease under the pressure Shizune's cold stare is putting on her. I keep wondering about that myself, too.
And?
We'll think about it harder. As Misha signs a reply to Shizne, her face turns into an unsatisfied frown.
Miss Teska, please try to take this seriously. It'll be a disaster if the wall looks like someone threw up their lunch onto it.
Rin nods assertively. We'll think more seriously. Misha actually giggles at that, but Shizne doesn't. Not even after translation. She just shakes her head, takes the materials from me, and takes off with Misha in tow. Rin frowns thoughtfully as she looks after the retreating student council duo. How rude. It's true, though. I must finish my project before the weekend. There will be dire consequences if I don't. The end of the world as we know it. Like weekends usually are, but more dire. Much more dire. Maybe I'll postpone my nap to unforeseen future. I'm about to ask what project she has and what are these apocalyptic consequences, but she walks back into the art classroom. Since you have nothing to do, you mind giving me a hand? This paint can doesn't fit into my bag, but I need it. She kicks lightly at a huge can of paint that's lying on the floor next to the table and she was sitting and sleeping on. It lets out a dull clang. Being the gentleman I am, I naturally pick it up.
Heavy.
Yeah, sure. Where do you need to take it? Away. And with that, she takes off to the hallway, me and the paint can following since there's little choice for either of us. The hallway is quiet and empty now, with Shizne and Misha gone. So we two leave towards the stairwell at the other end. Every 10 or 15 or 20 steps, I have to change the can from one hand to the other because the thin handle cuts into my palm. At least it keeps my arms from tiring too fast. Rin strolls on beside me with an uneven pace that I have trouble matching, or maybe I'm walking weird because of the extra weight. It seems one of us is constantly walking too slow or too fast, and I can't figure out which. 2 flights of stairs below, trouble appears in the form of the head nurse and his fox-like grin. "Ah, Mr. Nakai, what a happy coincidence. Teska too, of course." He nods courteously to Rin, who does not acknowledge him back, then turns to me because obviously it's me who he had some business with. "There's something I forgot to mention on Monday." I nod and wait impressively because I can't even begin to guess what he forgot. The feeling of the handle delving deeper into my skin doesn't make me feel enthusiastic about this interruption either. "It's about your medications. Since you haven't been that long on your current medications, there might be some unexpected side effects, which might require adjusting dosages or even changing to another kind of medication. So we will do a few tests regularly. But what I want is for you to keep an eye on everything in your condition that feels off, if you get what I mean. Nausea, headache, anything. And come see me if something happens." "Alright. So, how are you? Everything fine?" I give up and drop the can to the floor before answering him. Apparently, this takes longer than my biceps can handle. I'm about to say something generic as an answer, but then I realize how often I've done that lately. Other people have asked me that too. Teachers and students here, my parents, visitors, and nurses, doctors at the hospital. Everyone seems to be concerned about that. It's natural for a hospital, not so much for a school. Except this school. This is a small school. Both the student base and faculty seem to be very tightly knit. At least that's the feeling I'm getting. This is not the kind of school that gets transfer students too often. That thought sends shivers up my spine, but I give a generic answer anyway. That's great. Also, one other thing. My sources tell me that you have been at neither the school track nor even the pool, so I'd like to know if you've taken up exercising as I asked. Of course I haven't, but his way of inquiring gives me the feeling that I should have been running my ass off on the track since the very first day. You have people spying on me. Not as much. Not as such. I just happen to know a few people. But that's not the issue here, so don't try to slip out of it. Well, I was actually just doing some improvised weightlifting as an exercise. I pick up and lift the can down a few times in some sad imitation of a bodybuilder, even though it's weighing down on my arms painfully. Stupid grin disappears from his face for a second, then comes back like it was never gone. Tezuka, would you give us a second? The nurse grabs me by the shoulder without waiting for Rin's permission, which he didn't need in the first place, and drags me aside. When I told you to exercise, I wasn't joking. I understand that you're still in your first week and all, but please don't ignore the importance of this. The reason I'm coming down this hard on you is that habits are not easy to form. The more you slip and postpone, the harder it'll be. It's the same with everything, like dieting. Can you promise me to be more serious about this from now on? Of course, yes. Yeah, I promise. Definitely. He studies me for a moment and then shrugs, smiling again. Okay, that's more like it. If you go to the school track tomorrow morning, you'll meet my spy, who probably has no qualms offering consultation if you want to jog for a bit. Consultation? See you around. He leaves with a wave of his hand and no answer, and I walk to Rin, who has been waiting, idly leaning against the hallway wall, staring at the pale lighting fixtures in the ceiling. Even when I approach, she doesn't move her eyes off them. Are you getting medications for your heart thingy? Were you listening? He comes out more accusatory than I intended, accidentally lashing out on her. But even so, I don't really want to start talking about it. I just met her. I don't know her. I don't know her. It's not her business. And there seems to be happily ignorant about confidentiality, too, talking about that kind of thing in public. It's not Rin's fault, is it? I look up at her, suddenly feeling a bit guilty. But Rin is just staring past my shoulder quizzically, her head tilted like a bird's. Sigh. I don't know why this is so hard for me. Feels like there's some inexplicable lock that prevents me from being more upfront about this. Yeah, they're for my heart. Will they make you better? No, not really. They just make me a little less worse. Rin keeps looking at me for a while longer, and she neither says anything further nor displays any kind of emotion I could discern. I'm thankful that she doesn't. I think I'm still not quite used to all this. At the hospital, it was easy, but I still haven't sorted in my feelings about having to live a normal life with this disability. We leave the main building, and Rin leads us onward toward the dorm. We stop in a small patch of greenery in front of the dorm building. The dorm is built on a slightly elevated ground, with a wall and a few trees that everyone has to circle around every time they come or go. It's probably the only inconvenient design to the school. The entire wall, made of some kind of bricks, has the same kind of bricks as the building itself, has been covered with some sort of painting. Most of it is still mere sketches, quick lines drawn with black and white against the gray plastering that covers almost the entire length of the wall, but some places look a bit more finished. There are human faces and legs and hands. Can't quite say what the painting as a whole might portray. Stacks of what seem to be paint cans are arranged in piles on the ground beside the wall. See, the left side is hardly off the ground yet. It's because I couldn't get in the mood yesterday, so I gave up and went to meditate instead. Then it was suddenly morning. I have to work on it, but the guys from art class are helping me with the negative spaces and base surfaces which is a problem. It's easier to paint big areas if there are a lot of people with hands. The reach is better, and it's faster too. She goes on a tangent of a tangent, waving a little with her arm, or whatever of it there actually is, to demonstrate even though I got the point already. The white cotton of her sleeve flaps around, and it makes me think it could look sadder than it does. But it makes me feel out of place, like almost every tangible reminder of the student base's special properties has in the past few days. This girl doesn't notice my dreary feelings, of course, or the fact that she lost me a while ago already. Just keeps on blabbering. So that's why I'm trying to figure out if there is something I need to figure out, and then figure that out before it's too late and all hope is lost. That is what we call a sentence. Why would the hope be lost? Because paint has to be painted, and then it has to dry, and then it has to be painted over with another kind of paint. It takes time. She finally stops, apparently thinking she made some kind of a statement that makes sense. I think it's best to start from the top. So, this is your project. You did this? Yes. Yes. All of it? Yes. Nice. But I stumble with my words, suddenly feeling like I've walked straight into the minefield of political incorrectness. It's okay, you can say it. I probably won't get mad. I blush really hard. I don't know what would be the right thing to say, if any. It feels that I'm way more sensitive than Rin is, though. This is really awkward. Don't you want to ask? How do you paint without hands? See, I'm an easy person to talk to, right? With my feet. I almost guessed that already, but isn't that hard to do? You're good at guessing. Anyway, I don't think it is, but maybe I'm used to it by now. I can't get my mind around the fact that she could be an artist, but seeing how adept she was using her feet to eat, I figure painting it might not be a problem either. Neither of us has anything more to add to the subject. The afternoon light works pretty well. I was afraid it would look too flat, but it's not it's not like that after all. I think it's actually pretty interesting. I wanted to see what it looks like in dim light. Do you think it's flat? Paintings tend to be flat. Not like that flat, flat. Like some people are no substance, no meat when there should be some. I know a few girls who, okay, I get it, but I couldn't really tell. I'm not that good with art. I can't name many artists or artistic terms, so I don't really have anything to say. Rin shrugs her shoulders at that, saying, suit yourself without saying it, and looks up at the sky as if trying to look for something up there. I didn't think I'd get any actual work done, but if you could give me a hand with the paints, I could do a little before it gets too dark. I wanted to get a halogen lamp like the ones they have at the sports track, but there aren't any. Rin sure is quick to recruit my help, as was Shizne. It really makes me feel that the festival is such a big project that every pair of hands is needed. Why not? I'm not really sure if I can be of any help, though. It's just mixing some paints. You can do that. Probably. Do you have motor control problems? Like, those people who have some? Cerebral palsy, maybe? Not that I know of. I get it. Our thingy has nothing to do with that. She gives me a sly look for no reason. No, it doesn't. Let's do it, then. So she sits on an empty wooden box and very naturally picks up a wide brush between the toes of her bare right foot. I open a few of the cans and pour some of the contents into shallow bowls for mixing. The thick paints flow lazily from the can into the bowl like syrup. I mix them, creating funny, hypnotic-looking swirl patterns that melt quickly into each other to form a new monotone hue. Rin sets to work, every now and then asking me for a hand with something or the other. If Finding different brushes is easy enough, but mixing the paints to be the exact tone this girl is apparently seeing in her head is a frustrating ordeal. She wants precision down to the last millimeter before she's satisfied, but her instructions are obscure at best. Add half a splash of green. I crouch down and pick up a can of bright green. The other green. This green. Carefully pour some of the other green paint into the mixing bowl. No, that's almost a whole splash. More white. Is green a good color to add? No idea, you're the artist here. And if a smile appears in the corners of her mouth. Do you lack an opinion? No, it's just I have no idea. It's okay, because I just got an idea. Add more white. This exclamation, I pour a minuscule amount of white into the bowl and mix it. It looks slightly whiter. That's not good. It has to be more like the color when you wake up and you know that you saw the meaning of life in your dream, but can't remember it. Maybe it's yellow. Despite the impossibility of mixing a color like the change of seasons or any other nonsense that's being imposed on me, I find myself enjoying it more than I thought I would. Seeing a painting being born on the plastered wall feels like magic. I spend the moments I have between mixing paints crouching down on the paving and just looking at her work. Feels slightly intrusive at first, like breaking down some imaginary intimacy, but Rin doesn't seem to mind the least bit. Maybe it's just in my head. Her entire presence emits a completely different air as she patiently works the details, adding layers of paint on top of the other layers of paint, steadily moving her foot across the wall to add new shapes. When I manage to produce a passable mixture of paint, the rare smile on her face is oddly rewarding. Apart from the few words when discussing mixed paint mixes, neither of us says a word for the longest time. And even those short discussions soon evolve into a shorthand, both of us developing and using weird impromptu code words for various paints and hues. As if there was some kind of need to conserve words and breath and sound. We stay there late. No way. I don't know if you can hear it. I cranked the fucking volume up as much as you can, but listen if you can hear like the bug noise. That same fucking sound effect has been in every fucking visual novel almost. I even heard it in fucking My Hero Academia. It's, oh my god, it's such a popular and overly used fucking sound effect. Holy shit. We stay there late into the evening until it becomes too dark to paint properly. Oh. Well, that was the end of day 3 apparently. A little anticlimactic. Okay, cool. There you go. Here we come, waking up to the sound of our alarm. And that will go ahead and be the end of this episode. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one, man. I'm kind of tired. I don't know if I'm going to... I wanted to record another game after this, but I might just be done for the day. If I am, then so be it. If not, then whatever the fuck. Current scene, the running girl. Okay, so I imagine that we're going to be getting up and going to the track to probably meet that spy and talk to the girl with the blade runner. Sorry. Bye. I'm sorry.